our next talk is from Tim. Tim, are you ready?
I am. Pleasure to meet everybody today. I'm excited to be here. So, yes, it's very nice to meet everybody today. We're with Everywhere Communications. Our company is headquartered out of Annapolis, Maryland, but I work remotely. I'm up in the Boston area. I saw already connected with somebody who's also from Boston. So it's really good to kind of experience the small world inside the conservation market. I'm really excited to meet you guys today. I'm on with one of my colleagues, our marketing manager, Katie Swihart. She's here with me as well. So, quick way of introduction on myself. So really, if I think about my beginning at Everywhere Communications and how it relates to the conservation space, it starts one step before I joined the company. So my background before working at Everywhere, I was essentially full-time traveling. I had saved all my cash and gone on a backpacking trip after college. And on my trip through Southeast Asia and Africa, I fell in love with scuba diving. And scuba diving became something that I then wanted to do a marine reef conservation project with through a dive master program for anybody who's familiar. And I had signed up for one that was supposed to kick off in May of 2020, which obviously something happened there in that time frame that stopped the possibility of me going to do my conservation project. So I got stuck here in the United States. I was chasing down a job and got lucky enough to find Everywhere Communications, and really find a synergy between my conservation passion and sort of background in travel and seeing amazing things around the world, and safety and communications, which is what Everywhere Communications does primarily. So let me go ahead and jump into a little bit about the background on our technology. So Everywhere Communications provides three things that do three things. So we have a three-part solution with three major functions. And we have two partners that help us deliver the horsepower of our platform. So you might have come into today's call not knowing who Everywhere Communications was, not hearing about a small company from Annapolis, Maryland. But we are partnered with both Garmin and Iridium Satellite. So two powerhouse companies who help us kind of deliver our technology suite. So you see, we have a nice marketing tagline down at the bottom. The best of both worlds, Garmin hardware and Everywhere software. So if you are familiar with Garmin, they build the hardware product that we leverage on our platform. So Garmin has a hardware fleet called the InReach device. They're called Garmin InReaches. They give you satellite communications anywhere on Earth as long as you have a view of the sky. So the satellite communications network that these devices operate on is called Iridium Satellite, which is that logo you see over on the far right over there. So we always say we have a three-part solution. Part number one are those Garmin InReach devices. And you can see there's a number of different hardware types over on the left. There's puck-shaped devices. I have a couple here in the office with me. This is called the InReach Messenger Plus. So this device is a global satellite hotspot. It's going to give you global SOS tracking and two-way messaging from anywhere on Earth as long as you have a view of the sky. So that's part one of our solution. That's your satellite communicator. Part number two of the solution is a smartphone application. So we do have an app that you can Bluetooth pair with that satellite device. So that way you can know when you're receiving messages, where your teammates are. It has a map on that smartphone app so you can see where your teammates are in relation to yourself. And then lastly, we have a backend management portal. So there's an online web portal. Think of like an operations room or a dispatch center who's, working at a national park in Africa. They're going to be monitoring a map where you can see the locations of rangers moving around, anti-poaching teams, vehicles, maybe visitors, maybe there are animals moving around on the map. So where Everywhere Communications plays a role with the conservation market is we can integrate our data into the EarthRanger portal as well. So we're a very interoperable system. That's going to be the next slide I show you, are some of the integrations that we have access to. But those are the three parts of our solution. We have an InReach device. Those are the satellite communicators. We have a smartphone application that you can Bluetooth pair with that device. Simplest win right there is you're just going to be able to use your keyboard on your phone. And then we have a backend management portal where you can set up configuration for devices and set up an integration to pipe your data into the EarthRanger portal. So the three major functions, we say we do three things. The three major functions of an InReach device, we'll start on the top right over there. Global SOS. So every single device has a panic button right on the side of that device. It's covered by a hard plastic flap. So you'd have to peel that SOS button back and then you'd push the button. At the Everywhere system, we are able to custom route that SOS event into any of your internal dispatch centers or anything like that. We can also route it to a 24/7 Garmin response center who's going to liaison a rescue based on your GPS location. In the middle, we have location monitoring and control. So these devices do tracking as well. So as you're moving around in the field, if you're a ranger or again, anti-poaching teams, really big use case for us. So if you're out in the field moving around, you're going to be recording track points over the satellite network. So these are going to give you a really powerful tool when you are operating in an austere environment out beyond cellular coverage. And then lastly, we call it secure messaging, but that's simply just two-way messaging to and from your devices. The devices can talk to one another. They can talk to cell phone numbers. They can talk to email addresses. They can also talk to the EarthRanger portal. So two-way messaging, location tracking, and global SOS. Those are the three core functions of the platform. And then if we get a little bit into our integration slide, there's a number of logos here on the screen. These are all portals or softwares that you may be using today that we are able to connect to and leverage essentially all the satellite information that I was just covering, tracking, location, being able to send messages, have geofence alerts go off, have check-ins go out to your devices. All of that information and that data that we're accumulating can integrate into any of the portals or the softwares that you see here on the screen. The big one for this market, the big two probably are going to be under the locate section, the second one in, with both the Esri portal as well as the EarthRanger portal. Those are both two different softwares that we can integrate into. And then on the right, the last column over on the right where you see ACT, that would be the response in the case that somebody on your team does push the SOS button because they've had an emergency out in the field beyond cellular coverage. By default, you see there's Garmin response, and then you see below that internal dispatch. So we can also custom route that into your team's kind of existing process flows. All right, and then this will be the last slide we cover here. Just want to cover our integration with EarthRanger. We say we're empowering conservation through innovation. So I've been working with the EarthRanger team for about 4 years now, and we recently launched a fully developed integration with them with the 4 key features that you see on the left side of the screen. So PLI, personnel location information, again, that stands for tracking. So we can integrate track points into the EarthRanger portal. Two-way satellite messaging. You can see this is actually a screenshot from EarthRanger. And that's a picture of me sending and receiving messages from the EarthRanger portal to my device and vice versa. So if you're at the Ops Center, you can just stay in EarthRanger. You can send and receive messages right through that portal. And then one of the last things that we're bringing into EarthRanger are our event-driven notifications. So primarily that's going to be SOS. If a device does have an SOS event, that alert can pipe into the events tab here in EarthRanger so that the Ops Center, the dispatch room, they're able to just manage one single pane of glass, one software through EarthRanger. And then lastly, scalable team setup. Think about being deployed in multiple countries, multiple different national parks, super dynamic operating regions, maybe even regions within national parks where you have 2 different teams deployed. We can have this set up at scale. Think Team 1, Team 2, Team 3, and then Team 1A if you're within a national park in the Western region, and Team 1B if you're in the Eastern region. And we can pipe all this data to the necessary endpoints as needed. So it's very, very flexible. That being said, Talia, I think that's it for me. I'm going to go ahead and kill the screen share. I'll make sure to drop my LinkedIn and my email address in here. I think that's going to be shared after, but really excited to connect with anybody who's intrigued.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Tim. Super interesting stuff. One question, I don't see any specific ones in the chat yet for you, but one question that I had is you said a few times in that presentation, as long as you have a view of the sky. And I
Yeah,
know that's
yeah,
been one of the challenges for conservation applications is like, how do we deal with connectivity in rainforests or underwater or in some cases underground? And so I'm curious how you
yeah.
think about that. And is that still an issue we're navigating from end users and everything?
It's a great question. I'll answer the second 2 use cases first. So if you've never had any exposure to satellite technology, that is something to just kind of get used to and understand. Whether it's the new satellite chips in your phone that are coming out, whether it's a satellite device like this that does text messaging, or if it's a fully blasted sat phone. It's just kind of the state of the market. You do need to be outside with a view of the sky for satellite technology to function. It's just kind of something to wrap your head around. Now, when it comes to being underwater or underground, There's not a lot that satellite technology can do for you in either of those two use cases. When you are underwater, because I do have a diving background, I don't know if anybody's seen the movie Open Water, but the inReach device is not going to transmit while you're underwater. So when you're submerged at 20 meters, it's not going to be able to transmit data. But you can get a dive case that pressure protects the device so that when you come up, if you've seen open water and there's no boat there, you now have a communications device. So you can, talk back and forth. Maybe you got pulled in a current. Maybe the boat left for XYZ reason, which should never happen, but you do come up with a lifeline if you get the dive case. So there is still some function if you're going to be in a diving scenario. And then when it comes to rainforests, these devices are extremely resilient with tree cover. They do function in rainforests. We're operating in all of the major rainforests around the world. They're called short burst data communicators. So they only need to catch a satellite for an instant to be able to fire your message. It's a teeny little data packet, and it only needs to catch that satellite for a microburst, and it can send your data. So inside of a tree canopy in a rainforest, you're still good. And then the
Awesome.
last piece I'll say is if you do go inside, if you have Wi-Fi or cellular and the satellite device doesn't work anymore, our app uses intelligent routing. So if you have cellular or Wi-Fi, the app is just going to start leveraging cell and Wi-Fi.
Perfect. Thank you
All
so
right.
much.
You're
Wonderful, Tim.
welcome. Thank you very much.